Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my shotgun shack in the Texas outback. It's a little breezy this morning. I hope it doesn't affect the recording. And I'm here with my buddy Radar, who's laying on my feet. It's my dog. So if you hear some panting or the tripod gets bumped, then you'll know what's up. So and I think I might adjust my shot just a little bit. There we go. Well, today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the information that's coming out about Google. So currently there is a petition sponsored by Google employees that is being sent around for all the Google employees to sign, which is demanding that Google stop having any kind of business or interaction with ICE or Border Patrol. Any kind of connection at all has to be broken. That they don't want to support these people who would, and this is a quote, who would cage and torture people. Okay, so one could argue that anybody who's in a cell is caged, right? But who's talking about torture? I haven't even heard. I mean, this is a new accusation that migrants are being tortured. Really? I've just seen a lot of kids in detention facilities playing soccer and eating pizza. Right? The one person that claimed they were forced to drink out of the toilet didn't understand that there was a space-saving cell device that they use in a lot of prisons, where there's a toilet here and then up and off to the side is the lavatory for washing your hands, and sometimes that is also doubles as a drinking fountain. And actually I thought it was pretty cool when I was looking at stuff for my little house. One of those came up when I was looking for compact bathroom solutions. One of those toilet lavatory combinations popped up in the feed. They take up about half the space of a toilet in a separate lavatory. But anyway, yeah, and that was them supposedly drinking out of the toilet, was them drinking from a combined thing. When the water's higher than, when you're in a small space, everything's close. You can't have a total separation from the you're lucky you have running water in your area. They're doing better than I am. Well, I finally got running water out here, as long as I keep carrying it back and forth from my sister's place in jugs. But I got it running. But anyway, so Google has this thing that they're passing around, and several Google employees have come out recently to Project Veritas. Two in particular. They've also been on AJ's show over at IF. You know what I'm talking about. Well, it would be IW, I guess. Do I need to spell it? But anyway, we could talk in pig Latin. It's Alex J owns J at, I don't even know how to say the other part. Never mind. Google, I have this love-hate relationship with them, because they provide me with this platform that allows me to talk to all of you, and it has absolutely changed my life and given me hope in my retirement, and that I would have some method of being able to produce art and distribute it, which is my storytelling and commentary I see as art. I'm not a news guy. I'm just I fancy myself a Will Rogers kind of character, I guess, if I had to clarify what I think of myself, what I'd like to be, what I'm trying to do, I guess. Will Rogers would just go around and tell jokes and do rope tricks, and people would pay him quite well and take care of him for being entertained. And I think a lot of YouTubers fit into that category, that Will Rogers kind of category. If you don't know who Will Rogers is, Google it. How's that for a segue back from a bunny trail? So, Google is, their employees have a real anti-America agenda. And they are not just against ICE, but they're also against the American military. That when Google was supposed to have some defense contracts going on, that their employees, a group of their employees, rose up from within and demanded that Google stop doing business with the military. And they called our veterans murderers. So the problem, I think, with Google in particular, is who they've hired. And if you create a little fish bowl, right, and you fill it with all the same kind of fish, And they have more fish, and they bring in more fish, and pretty soon it's just compacted with there's no variety there. There's no alternate opinion. There's no other side of the story. It's just birds of a feather flock together, fish of the same kind run in schools, and this is a collective. Google has become a communist collective, a group of political activists who are like-minded. And they're ferreting out those who aren't. And, if you're not of the communist, socialist, progressive, anti-American, anti-male, anti-Christianity, anti-Trump crowd, then you're not welcome there. And many of the employees who didn't fall into that category have been hiding out undercover. They've been trying to fit in without losing their principles, right? Until they just can't stand it anymore. And now those are the people that are flipping to Project Veritas. And so the only question is, what happens next? How do we prevent Google from becoming a all-powerful censoring agent who can, from some experts are coming out now, experts in the power of the internet on politics, and they're coming out and telling us now that Google has the power to flip the election because the electorate are mostly asleep, and Google has the ability to sway people because they don't know they're being swayed. And it's the way the algorithm works in the search. And this also has a lot to do with YouTube. Here we are on YouTube, and how their algorithms work, and how they're shadow banning and promoting certain channels, and de-promoting or suppressing other channels, right? I mean, we've all experienced this. Most everyone who is not a progressive liberal leftist, right, everyone who doesn't fit into that kind of Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Pocahontas little package, right, if you're not on that same page with them, and you're on YouTube, then you've seen your income go right down the tubes. Which brings me to another point. My retirement plan of living small in a tiny home and making a little bit of money from YouTube revenue has kind of been smashed by all of this. So if you want to support the channel, keep me doing what I'm doing, help me out, see me through what I think may be a temporary blip in the YouTube story, then please support the channel at P.O. Box 2915, Weatherford, Texas 76086. Or you can find me, Sage Wanderer. That's Wanderer with a A, not an O. Wanderer. I'm on Patreon, so come check me out on Patreon. But my retirement plan is kind of got shot up, and if you're listening, or if you're a YouTuber yourself, then you know that you've seen your income go right down the drain, and it's because of this political activism coming from Google. How politically active is a powerful company allowed to be? What if the electric companies, I have a co-op out here, what if the electric company decided, hey, we don't like the cut of his jib, we're just going to pull the plug on him, right? I buy Toyota cars. What if Toyota just said, we're not going to sell any cars to any Trump supporters? Can these corporations get away with this? Should we let them get away with this? Is this something that we should let prosper and continue to be in America? Or is this kind of a new viewing of freedom? Is it their political, economic, and corporate freedom to do this? To use the power of their wealth and their brand and their platform to control politics and other people? Is this how they ban us from buying or selling without the mark of the beast? Through corporations, not necessarily through governments? Quite frightening if you think about it. The Constitution, is going to have to be reanalyzed to handle this angle. And, the people that do that are the Supreme Court justices. There needs to be a lawsuit against these giant corporations who are using their leverage and power to dehumanize, deplatform, and deperson people. And they're going to have to be brought in some lawsuit all the way to the Supreme Court, so the justices can once and for all decide whether corporations have the right to censor people, control people, and declassify whole groups of people according to political ideologies or not. Do they have the power or not? That was radar being noisy down there. Will you tell me in the comments section, what do you think? Do you think these companies have the right to behave this way? Do you think the government should do something about it? Do you think they can do something about it? Or do you think, like I do, the only real way to fix this is a lawsuit, a potential that encompasses this whole problem, and it has to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and the justices have to rule on this so that we know once and for all whether these people have this power or not? Tell me what you think in the comments section, and God save our republic.